And action.
So that's why they have that thing in the movies that they clap. That's Kevin. Welcome to 1 Million Cups. Thank you guys for coming out today. How many of you, is this your first time here at 1 Million Cups today? Nice. Well, welcome guys. I hope you enjoy it. As you regulars know, 1 Million Cups is our weekly entrepreneurial event where two startups from the community come up here and tell you about the cool things being built right here in Tampa Bay. They have 6 minutes to present. They're going to wow you with the stuff they do, but then the onus is on you guys, the audience. You have 20 minutes to ask incisive questions. Make great connections for the entrepreneurs, either the customers or potential mentors, other suggestions. It's really important. That's what separates us from a lot of other communities. We are an engaged community that looks to help our entrepreneurs, and we certainly appreciate that. I'd like to introduce all of my fellow co-hosts. We have Danielle Whitelaw. Sorry. Not here. Miranda.
It's Freaky Friday anyway.
But John Martin.
Ruben.
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 Two folks who are never here, though we love them. Ruben Pressman.
Yeah.
Richard Wood. I'm Sean Kennedy. I'm always here, lucky for you, except for last week. We definitely want to thank, as always, our gracious sponsors, Kawa Coffee, who puts this black liquid that is not oil in our cups, but fuels us nonetheless. Please visit them wherever their new mobile delivery device is, or one of their stores when it's not Wednesday from 9 to 10 a.m. There is, as always, a sign-in sheet right back there. Not mandatory by any means, but that is where you will go to put your email address if you'd like our 2 weekly emails. One to inform you who is presenting, one to inform you who did present. It sounds complicated, but it's actually easy. Our first presentation, though, is from our good friend Ruben Pressman, who's going to give us an update on how big he is built. Check out here.
Yeah.
That's why he's
Stay between the two green pools, huh? Like that. Cool. And I gotta make sure I look at each camera. Just like that. Good. All right, cool. How's it going, guys? Good. So, who saw the presentation last time? You know how much? Okay, so I'll go over a good amount of what we do. Awesome. So, this all really started back from my experience in the university and college space, and we saw a good amount of problems in the industry that we saw that other people had at other campuses as well. What we've basically done is built an entire platform to help you basically manage, track, assess, and engage all the students and organizations on a university or college campus. A little bit about myself. I graduated with entrepreneurship from USF St. Pete here. I was the vice president of student government, again, really where everything started for the company and where we found a lot of the problems that we're solving. I've started multiple companies in the past, and this is really the one I'm focusing on now. And I'm also a front-end designer and developer, so I help build a lot and design a lot of the product that we started with. Some of the student life ecosystem, for those that aren't really familiar with how student life works at a university campus, so everything non-academic. There's a student government and student life, and they basically allocate all this funding that they get based on tuition that they basically allocate to all the services, organizations, and departments on campus based on how well they're engaging the students. But they're really bad at marketing, they're not very good at engaging the students. And the point is that they're trying to engage these students who are in turn paying a portion of their tuition to the student governments and student life to increase engagement and do some of these things. It's really interesting because this budget is one of the only ones at the institution that doesn't go down every year. It's still going up by 5% and even more based on tuition raises. So this whole scenario of everybody trying to help everybody else creates some interesting problems. The first being, it's really hard to increase engagement. When you have all kinds of students coming from all parts of life and doing all kinds of things on campus, they're interested in different things. It's very hard to understand that, so it makes it hard to get more students involved, which is really where that funding is supposed to go towards. There's a lot of really great learning experiences you can get outside of the classroom through these. We also have an issue allocating funding. For a campus like USF St. Pete, it's a $2 million+ budget. For USF Tampa, it's more than $15 million. And these are student governments. They're students that are just out of high school, still learning how to manage their own budgets and allowance, let alone managing $15 million every single year. Again, completely autonomously from the rest of the institution. Very little staff oversight. The next is retaining students, which is obviously the ROI that the universities get and what helps them stay sustainable. And finally, there's the assessing involvement, all about making good decisions and understanding what's working and not. So what we found is that all of these problems currently exist and are very hard to solve because of the way that they are or are not currently collecting data. There's no data collection, maybe some paper sign-in sheets, some kind of hacked together solutions, but nothing really is a full solution to collecting and understanding data. So we've made it possible to now collect data through the IDs that the students already have, and using a card reader that we give out for free that integrates with iOS and Android devices to be able to check students in at all of the events, programs, and activities that go on campus. We connect that with an entire platform, integrate directly with the university data that the schools already have, so all the demographic information, and then we give all the different types of users access at different levels that they choose. From there, we basically give an entire platform to manage, track, assess, and engage everything happening. And what that means is that we offer an organization management platform. We also give the ability for them to create all kinds of custom CMS data around this. And finally, an event management system. So organizations and students can create events, get approval, manage the details for those. We then connect that to our tracking solution, which gives them the ability to track with mobile devices. We give them free readers. They can use both iOS and Android, everything from Wi-Fi to LTE and 3G. And we verify the students live with photos when they check in. And then we also do smart things like polls and waivers. So we can allow them to create survey questions right there to collect more data and even sign waivers on their devices. We then allow them to assess and understand engagement. So we take all of the data we're creating through tracking, pull in all the demographic data that they have. So age, gender, class, major, residency status, if they're in-state, out-of-state, all of that, and build them live integration attendance, connected to the events and the organizations, and real-time analytics with all of these data points, visuals, and graphics for them to really create custom reports around what's working, what's not, and what types of students they're attracting. And then finally, we actually build them a student portal on the web and mobile. So we actually roll out a separate mobile app for each institution and build a branded web portal for students to see everything going on in new ways. They're automatically generated. We pull social media like Facebook and Twitter into these. And then we also have some easy marketing tools like embeddable calendars, messaging, and things like auto creation of flyers and TV slides around campus for promotion. So basically this entire platform. And back to the kind of the business model side, there's over 12,000 campuses nationwide. So that's the start of our market. There's a 37% enrollment increase over these 5 years that we're in right now to over 20 million students, which basically gives us over 500 campuses with over 10,000 students, which is important because we actually charge a yearly subscription based on the total enrollment that the universities have. There's basically multiple decision makers. So from our model and sales standpoint, it's a very complex sale, right? We have student governments we're selling to, we have student lifes we're selling to, VPs, IT, purchasing, all kinds of in-depth processes there. They pay multi-year subscriptions up front. So we charge a year, 2 or 3 discounts for 2 and 3 years. We find that more than 40% of our sales result in a 3-year contract that's paid ahead of time. We have multiple revenue streams. So we're focusing on the primary, which is the subscription model right now, but we have all kinds of things we're working on for other revenue streams. And then finally, it's still primarily through direct sales, but we're doing a lot of inbound marketing strategies that we've had some great success with that we're focusing on now as well. These are some of our customers at the top, and these are some of the customers that are moving forward with purchasing that we're talking to right now around the country. So when I was here before, I gave you guys an update of what we were planning on doing about 6 months ago. We were talking about hiring some of our first employees to grow sales. We were talking about continuing to scale nationwide, implementing some possible new marketing strategies. We barely had a website, it was 1 page. We had no blog, we had nothing there. We were talking about some new revenue streams, and we were talking about expanding into other industries. So now we've actually hired more than double our sales. When I was talking to you before, we had just got our 5th campus on board. We now, 2 months later, have 14. So it took us our first 10 months to get those first 5, and in 5 times faster, we've more than doubled that. We have customers in 6 states and internationally, something that we didn't really plan on doing but came our way. So we're going with that. We're totally winning at marketing. We've done everything from really successful blog posts that bring in customers and close sales quicker than anything else. to our Twitter strategy and everything we're doing through social media. We've done so well on Twitter that they featured us in a case study. So if you go to twitter.com and check out their success stories, we're on the front page there, talking about how we have a 10 times ROI. So every $1,000 I'm spending on ads on Twitter, we're making 10,000 in sales. And then we're also working on some cool partnerships for those other extra revenue streams we were talking about. And we're prospecting with other industries, everything from resorts to cruises, to retirement homes, to all those kinds of things that could benefit from the same type of solutions that we have now. So thank you guys very much. Open to all the questions and feedback.
Why did you go with the hardware solution of the reader instead of checking in by like Foursquare or something like that?
Yeah, of course. So it's super important for us not to change any existing behaviors and integrate with systems they already have. So if I were to come into a university and say, hey, students can now check it on their phone, there's no way they can enforce students to, make them use their phones. There's still a lack of some students on campus that don't have phones. And they can't really require them to use their data plans or anything like that to check in. So we integrate with the systems they have that all students have, and we have plans to do stuff like that for the students that want to down the road. That's it? Good.
Give me an example of cost.
So it's anywhere between, we have very small institutions in just the size of hundreds. That would be about $9 a student. And as it scales up, it gets as low as maybe 40 to 50 cents a student.
Per student per?
What's that? That's
per semester per year?
Per student per year, yes.
How much of that cost burden do the universities take on, and how much is passed down to the students?
How much is the use of the cost?
Yeah.
So the cost comes directly, and I'd say 95% of the time, out of what's called the A&S budget, which is the activity and service fee, which is already budgeted and pulled from tuition. It's coming out of one of those line items there. So they increase it regardless of anything every year, basically. So it's not like this is a direct reflection on students' costs. It's basically pulled out of the budgets that already exist. Yeah.
Two-part question. Who do you think your closest competition is, and who's going to be most interested in you as you grow a potential acquisition target?
For sure, yeah. So I'd say WorkSync is probably our #1 competitor. They offer a system that has some of the features we do, some that we don't, and we offer some stuff that they do that they don't. They're much more focused on a management platform. So they offer much bigger tools around managing organizations and events, but really don't offer the types of solutions we do around tracking and nothing at all around analytics. And their engagement tools are all very much a Facebook competitor. So they basically roll out this internal social network for your school and want students to be on both Facebook or whatever and WorkSync. So the only reason that we consider them a serious competitor is because they have a good amount of the market. But they also, it doesn't really make sense for a school to have both us and WorkSync on at the same time. So they're there. We have schools that are looking to move off of them onto us, which is always good news. And what was the second part you said?
Who do you think would be interested in acquiring?
So we're looking at talking with a lot of learning management systems out there, so things like Blackboard, Canvas, but also some of the bigger publishers in the space, so Pearson, Macmillan, those guys, and some of those people have already reached out to us about acquisition because of the kind of connections that we have through other stuff they're in. Yep.
Take any funding on this project?
Yeah, so we got to where we were when I was here last time. So we had 5 schools on board. We had some interesting traction, kind of a good rate where we were at, and we raised a small level of seed funding that we combined with those revenues to hire that first round of employees that's brought us to this next level.
Cool.
Yep.
Would you explain how you were using Twitter again? Are you actually paying for advertising on Twitter?
Yeah, so we're doing everything from just general social media posts to interacting with customers to paying with Twitter ads, and that's what our success story is on, is the Twitter ads. And we're doing every possible technology and integration they have when it comes to marketing on Twitter. We've had so much success with it that we just keep doing more and more of it, so, yep.
Here's a question.
Oh, hello.
What's your background besides the entrepreneurship major that you took? And do you have partners who have a computer or software background?
Yeah, so my background is primarily in building companies. I've been doing it since I was 10. Everything from web development from when I was young to a clothing line in high school, that kind of stuff. So I've always been around just creating the things that I want. My background is technical and through like the sales, and entrepreneurship side. But my co-founder that started this with us is our CTO, and he's the one that built most of the back end of the system out there.
I just raised my hand in anticipation of having a question.
Does anyone want a bail shot now?
As an Everett alum, have you had successes getting a hold of anyone there? And if not, can I help make some introductions?
Yeah, we're actually talking with them right now. We just went through where's Paul? Paul's probably here, right? Paul helped get us connected really well last time I was here, and we just finished kind of through their very lengthy and slowest around process there is. But yeah, they're moving forward finally. So I got an email earlier this week saying we're good to go. So yeah.
And how many staff do you have now?
There's me and 5 full-time employees.
When you were saying you create analytics, are you sharing those with the university or with the organizations? What are you doing with them? How are you using those?
Sure. So the overall campus, university, college, student government, student life people can see all those analytics, see the data, create custom reports. The organizations can see it as well, but only for their own events. So we filter down the information to only the stuff they've helped collect, and really only the stuff that's important to them. But we see institutions put out full reports to say, hey, here's what's working for everybody and stuff like that as well. So.
Oh, good.
Yep.
So it does get
mileage.
Yep.
Yep. And it's all aggregate information, so there's no privacy issues and stuff around that. Now there's more.
Do the card readers read all campus cards, and what kind of integration challenges do you have?
Yeah, so we basically streamline that as much as possible. They send us a template of their data, and they send us 3 cards. And we basically do what we can on our side to truncate and mask what's on the patterns of the cards and line them up with the data that they're sending us. So we've made that process work in under an hour. So we can really integrate with any card that has track 2. Some don't have that, so we do barcode as well. And then we're actually looking into OCR to just read the front of the card regardless of what's there.
How easy or difficult is it to transfer to other industries?
I mean, the system is very kind of turnkey when someone's ready to go. So I would say based on the industries that we're talking to, which are closely aligned to the same processes that a university would be, it's changing what some of the lingo and some of the languages, and it's pretty much ready to go for the other industries.
What have you learned, bumps in the road, that you could share with the group?
Yeah, I think the biggest one, and what I brought up last time, was the bureaucracy involved in this kind of sale. Not only is it enterprise level sale, but it's a university, which is government, which is even harder. But it's a very complex sale. There's multiple decision makers. There's multiple processes, and every institution you go to, it's different. So the original part was just really understanding, and it was really hard to understand and get through those processes as we were early on. It was very hard as we barely had any customers to get through that and get started. St. Leo University, if anybody knows them, are kind of local, and they were the first ones that were like, we don't care, this is awesome, let's do it. We like being the first one. So it was really great to find that kind of customer, and that's what really helped us, because as soon as we had them, we were able to go to the next person, oh yeah, St. Leo's on board. So it kind of took all the, oh, we're not the first people to go with this. And now we can say, yeah, we got more than 10, oh, we got more than 15, whatever we got, it's now, oh, no problem. So, it was the original kind of getting started and getting through that bureaucracy as being a new company is really what the hardest part was.
Your early sales strategy, I remember last time, was that you hung out until they actually paid attention to you, right?
Well, we did everything from phone and email, but because we were in-state only, we did a lot of walk-in. We did a lot of, oh, you're not answering, you're just going to show up, right? And that's what worked the best, because when we were there, it's obviously hard to say no to someone that you're looking at. So it worked really well, and I was just up in Boston for 2 weeks, so I emailed all of the 30 campuses that were up there, and basically threatened that I was going to come in and talk to them if they didn't respond to me, which always gets great responses. So.
Okay, so that's what you've done with it. All right, now I get it.
Yeah, so now that we're kind of nationwide, we've had a lot of success through optimizing email templates and just knowing what to say and how to do it. Yeah.
Ruben, at what point, what volume do you need before a number of universities or number of students on board before you're profitable? Or are you already profitable?
Where we're at now, we're already profitable, yes. So before, obviously we're profitable before we raise any money. Since we've raised money, we've tripled the value of those people's investments, and they've continuously added more money in. So we've had success with that. We're profitable on the investment we have now. And as we're seeking more funding, we'll keep going back and forth with that. So, yeah, but our run rate is equal to our burn rate right now. Matt?
What's the length of your typical sales cycle from first contact till depositing the check?
Anywhere between a week and 14 months. That doesn't include accurate. It was more like 18 months.
I was thinking it was more closer to the 18 months. So
That's like, yeah, that's yeah, I mean, we've had about 50% of our customers are under 2 months. The other 50% are more like 6 to 8 months.
That's impressive.
Yeah, we've been really successful somehow getting those few week sales to close, but keep doing it, so, yeah.
So you're updating us on what you told us you were going to do. What are you going to do next?
I think we're just going to do more of what we're already doing. We've had so much success, and we're also only 2 months into like everyone, hiring and getting all this stuff started. So yeah, I think we're doing a lot more of what we're doing. Some of the stuff we're talking about, like the other industries, the other revenue streams, we're just getting started on. So finalizing some of those, testing some of those out. We're really focused on building some really new features, stuff like that OrgSync has that we're going to try and say, well, we do everything they do now plus more. And we're also automating a lot of our sales stuff so that we can optimize everyone's time and start to move a lot faster with everything.
How do you address concerns about privacy and data security?
So for those that aren't familiar, there's FERPA, which is very like HIPAA, but for the higher ed space. So we only really collect what's called basic public directory information, stuff that every student, whether they know it or not, opt into that, unless they decide and figure out how to opt out of it when they join an institution. So the legal side of the privacy, they're able to share with us. They do a general security check. We have a technical FAQ we send them, let them know basically how we do security. We're all hosted with Amazon, so we depend a lot on their world-class security and protection to handle that for us. So that was another kind of road bump I was mentioning. It's part of the process that used to take us months to get through that we now do in a phone call.
How large is the company? How many employees?
It's me and 5 full-time, and then we contract with a few others, and there's a few on kind of the sweat equity thing.
What other industries are you referring to that you're branching out to?
Yeah, so everything from retirement homes that I've learned to work very much like a student government and student life space, because from what I hear, they have a lot of fun all day. They basically, from what I've been learning, is that we're working with retirement communities, so things like the villages and stuff like that, right? So they basically wake up, they have all kinds of events to go to and have fun at. They're still signing in on paper, like the student governments were, they're interested in this type of data and understanding where the money's going and all that as well. So retirement, cruise lines, resorts, event management, so things like chambers, nonprofits that have lots of events throughout the year, stuff like that.
Yeah. Suggestion, maybe opportunity.
Sure.
Since you were involved in student government,
yeah.
USF, any of the schools that are really difficult to crack, maybe Eckerd and others,
sure.
like that, maybe a temporary salesperson called one of the executives or officers of the student government of that school, an internal salesperson.
Yeah,
to bring them on possibly for a very short, for that specific school.
Sure.
To bring
yeah, it's an awesome idea.
And they may become a long-term.
Sure.
Schools.
Yeah, and that's actually who we hire is past student government leaders from the
but
sales
maybe
perspective.
current within that
yeah,
school.
Absolutely.
It's difficult to crack.
Interesting. Thank you.
So Ruben, do you see yourself getting profitable enough to do some kind of program for nonprofits?
I'd love to.
Discount?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, we're definitely open to it. And a lot of fair pricing is honestly so high because the sale takes so long, and we're obviously paying someone to close the sale. We're going through all that, but it's turnkey. I mean, I can roll it out for anybody if they're ready to go, kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, we're totally open to working with nonprofits at a much cheaper rate.
Great presentation, Ruben.
Thanks.
The question I have is, you said like you have an international client.
What's that?
You have an international client, international university?
I can't.
International.
That's what I got.
So, which country is that?
We have a school in Pakistan. Yep, they found us, we said cool, and it's actually an American that is over there, and what we found is there's a lot of people coming from here going there to start brand new schools. So that was the school that only has a few hundred students, but there's, they'll be tripling their size in the next 2 years and stuff too. So yeah, we're finding a lot of little markets like that all over the world that are finding us, or we're not finding, they're finding us, and interested in these types of platforms.
So you're open to expanding internationally?
Yeah, it's definitely brought some new challenges to us that we weren't really ready for, but we've made work anyway. And now that we've kind of done it, it's not that hard to kind of keep doing it. So we're not necessarily prospecting that direction, but we're open to inbound that way. Yeah.
Are you tracking how these people are finding you? And if so, how are they finding you?
Yeah, so not only do we track everyone that uses our system, we're very, very kind of into tracking everything that's happening with us. I really am not open to doing anything that we're doing unless we're able to track it, set goals, and make sure it's working. So we've built a lot of custom integrations between our CRM, our website, social media accounts, all of our advertising, everything that's helping us manage all of that. We know anyone that fills out a form exactly where they came from. We know we use custom linking to understand exactly where every piece of traffic is coming from, every single point they've been on our site. We know that you open our emails. We know what links you're clicking and what that resulted in. Every little detail of everything we're doing, we're tracking and knowing which person's doing what. And we use that, obviously, to optimize everything we're doing.
So what's the major way that people are finding you that you didn't know about?
That we didn't know about. I mean, I guess the only things we still don't know about is the word of mouth stuff. It's like, oh, we heard about you from someone. I'm like, well, who is that? And they're like, I don't remember, I heard about it. Okay, so those are like the only ones we're not able to. I mean, everything else has been very predictable because we planned on tracking it to start with, and everything we do has been very intentional. So, yeah.
So how can we as a community help you continue to be successful and grow?
That's a good question. We're always looking for great talent.
Oh, okay.
We're open to investor interest, and we're always looking for connections to schools nationwide. So 3 points. Good.
Nice.
Thank you very much.
Always nice to see you back in the room. There's a seat up here. Someone wants a seat? Yes. Please come on in, folks. Plenty of laps, plenty of seats. Lots of willing people in this audience. Come on in. So this is the part in our day where we talk about the upcoming events, as those of you who have been here before know. I'm going to let our emails do the talking. Our good friend Carly over there has designed an awesome email that some of you get. It has links to all these events. It has explanations. I'm not a kindergarten teacher. I don't care. Talk. But I do want to highlight one thing. Our Facebook page. So one of the metrics I am judged on here is how many likes that Facebook page gets. Little behind the curtains, little how the sausage is made here, but that's like a number we can count. Numbers are awesome. So if you would all go on and like that page, I would greatly appreciate it. You don't have to film this part. I'd like to introduce our friend Michael, who is hiding back there, who's got Venue Viking, another cool company being built, and a former Entrepreneurial Academy graduate. Right here.
Yay, Michael.
Hey, Mike. That's not it. That's it.
All right, welcome everybody. Thank you for being here today. My name is Michael McElhaney, and these are my friends and co-founders Joel Thomas and Jacob Hunt. I want to start off by asking the group a question. By a raise of hands, how many of you ever planned a birthday dinner, wedding, corporate event, or any type of special event? Yeah. Well, for those of you that haven't, planning an event is hard work. No matter the type of the event, there are all these limitations, options, and hurdles to jump through. Right now, we either have to call individual venues and ask them a ton of questions, search online by clicking on each individual venue website, or hire an event planner and pay them hundreds. Let me tell you, that's no way to plan an event, and that's why we created Venue Viking Event Space Explorer. Venue Viking makes exploring and connecting with event spaces accessible and effortless. This user-friendly cloud-based application helps the explorer find the perfect event space for the important event. Venue Viking will filter results based on event types such as weddings, corporate events, birthdays, holiday parties, and much more. Explorers can also add a guest count, their location, and budget to the search. By gathering this information, Venue Viking can narrow down the search results and present the best possible venue for their special event. Venues will populate and the exploring begins. Small thumbnails of each event space will show where the explorer can easily compare and preview each venue. When an explorer clicks on a specific venue, it will bring them to the venue's full profile. The profile will include a venue overview, picture gallery, general information about the event. There are also individual tabs to view specific spaces in the venue, contact the sales agent, view a map of the location, and also a comment box where past explorers can rate the event on their successful event. Best of all, users can do this all free of charge, with no email address, no subscription, or phone number to enter. We will monetize Venue Viking by helping owners and managers get more events and track data. Some of the subscription services include client and data tracking, detailed seasonal reports, virtual tours, and a direct lead generation tool. While Venue Viking will offer premium paid services, we also understand the importance of having a complete and full venue database. That's why we have also created the free listing. This will, got ahead of myself there. This will also keep us on our target of listing any and every venue, because that's been our #1 goal, to list any and every venue. In fact, most of our venues will start off as a free listing. This is how Venue Viking will grow into new markets and generate hundreds of subscriptions. Our starting target has been to input at least 200 listings each week, which will get us on our goal to hit 10,000 venues in the first year. Each time a venue is listed, the venue owner or manager will receive an automatic email generated from us. The email will introduce Venue Viking and let them know they have been listed in our application. The email will include a confirmation number specific to their venue and a direct link to claim their listing. The link will automatically bring them to Venue Viking's secure login. This is where they can create a username and password. Once identified, they will be in complete control of their venue listing and have their own personal profile to the application. This is where they can also edit, add, or change any information, and also access all the Venue Viking tools and reports. Venue Viking will also be an advertising hotspot for vendors. Vendors such as caterers, rental suppliers, DJs, and limo services will all be able to promote their business using banner ads on Venue Viking, making Venue Viking a one-stop shop for planning and booking any type of event. One of the coolest things about Venue Viking is the technology behind it. Venue Viking is a cloud-based web application that is built on the Microsoft ASP.NET technology stack and can be accessed from any device with the internet browser. We have used the latest web development pattern called MVC, which allows our application to scale flawlessly to any amount of users or web traffic. US Airways and Microsoft Xbox 360 are just some examples of large companies using this technology today. Our official launch is November 1st, just in time for the holiday bookings. We'll be launching in all the Tampa Bay area with plans for Orlando, Miami, Jacksonville, and West Palm by the beginning of the new year. In closing, Venue Viking is still in its infancy. We do need some help. We're looking for potential investors, data collectors, building community awareness, and we're always down for some good old-fashioned networking. I want to thank you for your time, and remember, before you plan your next event, think Venue Viking Event Space Explorer.
Now you can relax.
Yeah, right now the hard part.
Very cool. So how will you make money?
So we're going to monetize Venue Viking by reaching out to venue owners and managers and offering them premium paid services through Venue Viking to help them get more events, track data, be able to generate sales leads directly from Venue Viking. And we're also going to be, it's going to be a listing service for Google, so it's automatically going to give their SEO higher for that specific venue or restaurant.
So the original listing is free.
Correct.
And add-on services will
Exactly.
be revenue.
Correct.
aside from being local, which is great to support local businesses, how are you guys better than, say, using C-Vent or any of the other things that are out there that are already doing this?
Yeah, of course. Well, C-Vent, and I've been in the industry for a long time now. I'm actually the event director over at Rococo Steak right now. And anytime you're planning an event, using companies like C-Vent, or there's specific companies that do it like Wedding Wire, things like that, but they're very specific, they're very niche. C-Vent, for example, is very corporate. They tailor more towards professional third-party planners, whereas Venue Viking is a more fun, creative, easy, accessible way to search for individuals just like yourself trying to plan an event. Will third-party planners and professional organizations be able to use this? Of course, but and it also we're throwing in different features that they don't have, such as virtual tours of the facility, direct leads directly to that venue or the manager. That's what's going to make us stand out above the two others other ones. Mike, does that answer your question?
It does.
Okay.
For now.
Okay.
So I'm familiar with like VRBO, where you actually go online and create your own ad pretty much for your own rental space or something. So I'm imagining it to be very similar. I go on and I can design exactly what I want to with a template on your space. But one of the things that they do is you can either add more photos to get higher on the ranking or add certain things to get higher on the ranking. Is that built in?
Yeah, so as far as the venue listings go, there is going to be a preferred venue listing, which will allow it's a monthly cost, but it will allow that venue to be always at the top of the search results. As far as for vendors, limo drivers and things like that, promoting their business online, it's going to be an automatic pull and it's going to constantly rotate. And we're lucky because all three of us are very creative, so if any of the people don't have a specific banner ad they want to use or whatever, we would be able to create that for them as well.
Coming from the marketing space, one of the suggestions I might throw out to you is maybe changing Event Space Explorer to something more along the lines of a virtual event planner, because then that's much more specific to what you're actually trying to do.
Yeah.
And I think everybody who wants to do an event wants to have an event planner. They just may not want to pay one.
Yeah, thank you.
That's kind of exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I just thought that might be something.
I originally played with the Event Space Explorer just to kind of play on the whole Viking thing, but I do appreciate the suggestion. It is a good idea. Yeah, thank you.
Who's your avatar? Who's like the ideal client for you guys? And I'm asking specifically because Viking would appeal to a certain group of people, and I'm wondering if that aligns well to what your target market is.
Okay, so we actually have two different. This application targets two different audiences. One, it's going to be the end user, the person searching for venues. Studies show that it's mainly females that are event planners or do the planning in a relationship. So that's why we went with the lighter blue tones, the Tiffany blue color, to kind of appeal towards the women's side of things. And Viking is a masculine name, so we had to tone that down just a little bit. But we're also going to be targeting the actual venues. That's how we're going to make money. So we wanted to make both sides happy. So trying to find that happy medium was tough, but I think we came pretty close.
Is there a calendar function to let venues show availability?
Right now, no, but it is going to be one of the things that we're implementing. Right now, we're in just our beta launch, so we're just kind of testing it. I partnered with Seasons 52 and Eddie V's Prime Seafood, which are both Darden restaurants over in the Tampa area. They're going to be testing it out. I also have some other venues listed in the site right now as well. So if you went online and did a search, you would be able to see some of the ones that are in there. And it's just a beta launch. We will be adding an availability calendar for the venues, and they'll also be able to track and do other things with the calendar function as well.
Two things. One, I always like to use venues that are non-traditional, and that you don't have to use the list of caterers, because the food's always going to be exactly the same. So that would be a wonderful feature to add, is people who can bring in their own food, their own alcohol, things like that. And the other is, just like with VRBO, we rent out our rooms and our houses and that sort of thing. It might be a good idea to also suggest that some spaces could be available that are not necessarily public spaces at this moment. But somewhere like Pointer that has a lot of empty space, they may be somewhere like that.
Yeah, and again, I think my main goal, starting this business was listing any and every event space. We did the entrepreneurial graduation over at the History Museum. I didn't even know that place existed, and it's actually a cool spot. And it's one of those things where there are a lot of unique and different venues out there that nobody even knows about. And that's kind of my main goal, is just to list all of them. Like, of course, you're going to have your restaurants, you're going to have your big hotels, but we really want to kind of target everybody. And that's why we have the free listing, so everyone can be a part of it, even nonprofits. But we also have the paid, premium listings for, your bigger companies.
Michael, what are the roles and talents of the individuals you have up there?
I mean, I'll let them tell you a little bit about themselves.
I'm Joel, a front-end developer, designer, and entrepreneur. I've been for, since I was 12 years old. So.
Louder, please.
I had my first web client when I was 12 years old, and I've been doing web development, front-end development, marketing, internet marketing, branding since. This is Jacob.
Jacob Hunt. I'm the back-end developer for this project. I recently spent 5 years as a lead developer at JetBlue Airways, working on their training management systems. Moved into the cloud development space. I think I bring a lot of experience towards securing, building this application to scale to an enterprise level.
So you mentioned creative and nonprofits, so I have to ask. For Art Walk, St. Petersburg, second Saturday Art Walk, 5 arts destinations, 5 arts districts, 1 arts destination. Is that the kind of thing where you could post all the various 40 to 50 galleries and studios and help us pull that together every second Saturday as an event, a festival for them?
Yeah, and I'm sure there, we are planning on, building this thing to, endless possibilities. We want to do ticketing eventually down the road for concerts and things like that. Doing specific events for communities. We definitely want to do that as well, to host the different venues involved in that. So yes,
If you found the right venture capitalist with enough money to put private equity of a significant amount into your firm today, could you do some type of acquisition that could stick a ticketing arm in now so that you could literally have a significant amount of income early on?
Yeah, we can do that. It's, from our standpoint, we basically have been, bootstrapping the whole thing, up to this point. This is the first presentation that we have given.
No, it's great. I love it. You did a great job.
But yeah, that is one thing we're definitely looking for as investors, and the sky's the limit for this. So there's so many different ways that it can go and build. So we're just excited to get it done.
Yeah, I just thought of that. I just know someone that I think would be perfect for it. So yeah.
There are no limits to our development capabilities.
Good answer. Here's a question.
So what is your marketing plan look like? How are you going to put yourself? It looks like it's a very competitive space.
Yeah, the way the system was built is very automated. The venue and owner managers, they get an email as soon as they've been listed into the system. We'll have a sales team as well, reaching out to them, letting them know they've been listed into the system. We'll probably do the knocking on the doors and going in and talking to them about it for the local ones anyways. But we also plan on capitalizing on social media. We know that's important. We already have our Facebook, Twitter, all those accounts set up, ready to go live. And, so we'll be definitely doing a lot of it.
How is the consumer? I know there's 2 aspects, right? One is the event space, and the other one is the consumer who is looking for finding this virtual event plan. How is the consumer?
Well, basically, here's the bottom line. Users aren't going to use it unless there's venues in the system. venues aren't going to buy a subscription unless there's users looking at the system. So our approach is to list all our venues in there for free, to get as many venues in there as possible, to get people active and start using the site. And then we can go back to the venues and say, here's data. We can track, how many people are visiting the site and searching and clicking on their specific venue. And we can bring that to them and say, here's what you can do to improve this as well. So.
You know the Tampa Bay area, how are you going to handle other markets? So if you have people in New York, Ohio, how are you going to handle?
Yeah, again, we're going to tackle Tampa Bay first. Orlando, I do have a lot of connections in Orlando just because I've been in the industry for so long. But I feel like at a certain point we're going to get to where it's all an automated thing. We will have to expand and grow into new markets, potentially hire salespeople out of the state, in a commission-based structure. And we're not afraid to do that, but one thing at a time, I guess. See how it goes.
Well, fortunately, you're in one of the greatest destination states to begin the project. There's so many, certain of the events that you're talking about are constantly coming down and looking for venues. So it might be a great place to kick it off for sure.
What is the subscription fee structure? Does it scale the size of the venue or
No.
how many subscriptions do you need to support yourself at this time?
Well, basically, right now we're just offering one subscription, and it's going to kind of encompass all that we have in the system right now. So you have the free listing and then the subscription package. The subscription package is either $12.95 a month or $5.95 for the year, and any venue can afford that. If they get one event from Venue Viking, that will pay for their subscription for the entire year. And as we grow and implement new features and products and services that we can offer, then there will be different structures as far as this package will get this package will get this. So there will be more options in the future.
Was there what was it that inspired you to build this? Was there some complaint that you had, some complaint in the marketplace? Because I'm still struggling with, I hear you trying to do a lot of different things, and putting myself into your shoes, I'm like, limited amount of time, limited amount of resources. What you're saying you want is a bunch of subscriptions, you don't have that yet, or a bunch of inventory, you don't have that yet. So I'm kind of wondering, what is it that you guys have now that you can deliver to a need in the marketplace? And I'm trying to hear what that is.
No, we actually do have plenty of venues to input right now. We've already done the data collection for all the Tampa Bay area, have about 300 venues to input into the system. We're just making sure everything is where it needs to be before we go live with it. Out of those 300, I have 75 personal contacts I've already talked to that are ready to pull the trigger on this as well.
And they're basically like, hey, we need a place to list this. We don't know how to find people.
Well, the problem is, and where I come into play is I've been in the event industry. I've been an event planner for going on 6 years now in the Tampa Bay area. I originally came up with this reason because I constantly were having people come to me, look at my spaces, asking me a ton of questions. Some of them were even, just happened to find me from word of mouth or whatever. There's no really good spot to go and just, look at different venues and answer all their questions. And that's what I'm trying to do from a perspective. I'm trying to answer all their questions, and I'm also trying to make it easier for the venue owner or manager to be able to, navigate and collect the information and book the event.
Or at least not have as many phone calls front end, like, wow, okay, at least you can do a tour and you don't have to try and schedule the first appointment for a tour. But, okay.
I'm just trying to, I'm making it easier for everybody.
Okay.
We talked last week.
Yeah, we did.
About wedding planning. I think it's awesome because when I think about all the events that I, just kids and birthdays, and I'm always looking for some venue. And honestly, I'm not familiar with any other website that gives access to that. And currently, if I wanted to go to, say, Montiano's or somewhere, they don't really have a lot of information on their website as far as ranking and catering and pricing. So you have to call their event company, get a contact back, and they send you a package in the mail. It's just and most, say if I'm a mom, my day is busy. So a lot of times when I get on my computer and do my work, it's late at night, so no one's open. So it's it helps you to, I So I think you'll get a lot of people going to the site for information.
Yeah, Michael, the template that you create needs to drive all that information that she's talking about. Because as Sherry just mentioned, a lot of restaurants, they contact the catering manager, which you can't do that at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Nor the brides that are looking for a venue or the corporate sponsors. So you need to drive the venue so that they're kind of led to complete the information so that it's really user friendly, that people just want to gather it all before the phone call.
That's our number one goal is, user friendly, easy, just effortless. You plug in your little bits of information and it gives you your results.
I think I can help with some of the load that you mentioned because I do online catering and online ordering technology. So I hope to talk with you after.
Okay, perfect.
Your marketing team is contractors or yourself, or how are you going to market the venue?
What do you mean? From a venue?
How are you going to get the catering company to sign on?
Well, the advertising aspect of it, is something that we're going to implement as we, go through it. Right now, we're just focused on getting as many venues in there as possible, and building traffic just to, view the venues.
How are you going to get your name to the venue, get online?
Again, it's going to be an automatic data collection. We're taking general public information and we're putting it into a data spreadsheet. We have a mass importer system that automatically populates the venues into the system. Once it populates into the system, that venue will get an automatic email telling them they've been listed to the system, and it will also be followed up with a phone call as well.
Michael, I think this is a really great idea. I see the real value here, particularly in these out-of-the-way areas and so on. And it might be a way of monetizing this and growing it quickly is to license this concept for other markets. Because like you would be really good here and maybe Orlando, and someone else would be really good in New York. If they own it.
Yeah.
It would be different than if you try to find somebody to run it. That never really works out well.
Yeah.
So, but it's just something to think about because I think the concept is really needed and is a really, really good one, particularly for office meetings, things like that.
Yeah. Thank you. Great idea. What's that? I mean, right now we're basically in the seeding phase, beta launch phase. We'd be looking probably for about $80,000 to get us started and get going, and then from there.
And just to clarify, that is not official solicitation.
Do you also have a segment on your search for children's venues too?
Yes, there is kid parties is on there. So if you go to the event type, there is going to be a kid or children's party search that'll bring up your Chuck E. Cheese's and ice skating rinks and things like that.
Is there going to be some sort of ranking, something to drive business to those customers that are having a subscription, or is it just going to be in terms of which ones appear first?
Well, the venue,
Yeah, the search is ordered, so if they do pay the extra fee to get the premier listing, then they will appear at the top.
Okay, but no feedback from customers saying, this one was really great?
There will be, a ranking system for the venue itself.
The customer feedback, stars there.
Here's a question.
So what can we as a community do?
Again, I wanted to thank everybody for the time today. But yeah, we're just community awareness. We want to get this thing out. Anybody that's in the restaurant, hotel, industry that I might not know, if you can get me in contact with them, that would be awesome. I'd love to sit down and tell them about it. Investors, and then we are looking for data collectors as well. So.
And as you expand to Orlando and Miami, there are 1 million cups in Orlando and Miami, which you are now part of our passport program and can present at those locations as well. So I hope you'll take advantage.
Awesome.
Before we go, a couple things. One is, why don't we do another round of applause and thanks for, by the way, Ruben told me that check I'm here, he was just trying to check on co-eds, and that's how this whole thing got going, I think. Is that correct? No. How about we say thank you to Ruben and also a couple of things. Sean started off with the fact that he's been very steady and here as an organizer. Same with Danielle. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here today. But Sean was with me last week in Kansas City at the 1 Million Cups at the place where it was started. And being a person that lives here, but also Kansas City, I can't help but say that, I'll be honest with you, when we went in last week, the place was absolutely jammed. I'm talking 300 plus, okay? And they're passing out cookies and things. And then they came out with a special announcement, and I forgot, the Kauffman Association or Kauffman Foundation that started 1 Million Cups and all the research. Mr. Kauffman also owns the Royals, and the stadium's called the K, where the World Series is tonight, so go Royals, by the way. But that was kind of interesting where the entrepreneurial spirit goes. And just the last thing, we're always on the street, and we're always networking, and we're always working to learn. In the last couple of months, I've kind of gone to several different universities, and also Kauffman. Kauffman has their own library. And what they do is they have a special sticker and things. And it's kind of like, what are people reading? You know, when we go away, what can we read to short circuit this thing and whatever? And two things that jumped up. You know, there's hundreds of books and editions and magazines and whatnot. But one was a book called The Founder's Dilemmas. And The Founder's Dilemmas, a fellow from Harvard took the biggest database in the world, 10,000 plus entrepreneurs, interviewed the heck out of them, and came up with what are the dilemmas. And it's just fascinating. I mean, it really is. It's an interesting read to see what ages, what stages, and how long should you work before or after, whatever. So I kind of recommend you check that out. The other one is this one. This is a very hot book as far as the lean startup. A lot of people are looking at this because this fellow started a deal, failed big time, had it all set up. Then he came back and ended up launching and really made a big success. And a lot of it is because of the process and what he's doing in the lean startup. But I'm not saying this is beginning and ending, but just to get intellectual for a minute, you know, here's a couple of suggestions. We're always looking for presenters. Please see Sean and or look online. And thank you again. Really appreciate it. Have a wonderful week.